Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Unstuck. I am your host, Ethan, and every week we talk a little bit more about how to get unstuck in life, whether that's relationships, careers, spirituality, just generally feeling like you're lost or stuck. I'm here to help. So, this week I really want to talk about something that I've kind of circled around for many weeks, but I've never given the why behind it. And that is like why finding your purpose is so important. And I know that I've given a lot of tips and tricks and kind of like the roadmap for you to actually find what it is that your purpose is and what you should be doing with your life and how to get those things in alignment. But I never talked about really the importance behind that practice of finding your purpose and the importance of that journey. So I really want to paint the picture of why finding your purpose can be so exciting and like why this is the most important thing you can be focusing on right now. So imagine that you wake up every morning and you feel intrinsically motivated to go and do what you have to do that day. It genuinely excites you. You have an interest in it. It's aligned with what you actually care about and what you're fascinated by. And then you get to go and do that every day. And you wake up feeling so energized by that you don't even care about what else is going on in your life. Like you do not care about the distractions and the noise and the drama that's going on because you can always come back to this center of like having a purpose, and you can weed out and filter out all of the distractions, the noise, all of the external stimulus that are going on in your life. You can wake up feeling genuinely excited and on top of the world because you have found something that nobody can take away from you. And that's your purpose. That's truly what you were put on this earth to do and share with the world. It's what makes you unique. It is tied to what you're interested in. It comes from like the deepest part of you. And it's truly the reason you're here is to figure out a way to express that and share it with the world. And there's an undertone of this that is you're helping people ultimately. Whether you know it or not, you're actually genuinely helping people. And it's the least selfish thing you can do on earth is to figure out what it is you were put here for and then to pursue that radically. And whenever you do this, you just generally have this like glow about you. People can tell whenever you're working in alignment with your purpose. So on the flip side of that, I actually do want to paint the picture of what happens when you don't do this work and you decide to just let this be on the back burner and you say, oh, one day I'll figure out what my purpose is, or one day I'll figure out what I'm genuinely interested in or what I should be doing. And I'll tell you why that's actually the worst thing you can do right now. So a lot of people can probably relate to this, and this is certainly my journey as well. And I just want to talk about how easy it is to fall into this route of not pursuing what you're interested in and not pursuing your purpose. And I think it looks a little something like, whenever we're younger, around 4, 5, 6, we are truly 100% deeply connected with what we find interesting. And you can literally on a dime say, okay, yeah, I'm interested in this thing, or yes, I want this. No, I don't want this. You are so in tune with your deepest intuition that it just comes naturally, like second nature. You don't even have to think about it. But then the world starts coming in and you start absorbing these beliefs about things that you should be doing or things that are cool, things that are uncool, and shame gets in the way. And then you have to like navigate the social dynamics of school. And then, before you know it, you're 16, you have no idea what you like, you have no idea what you want. You only know what it is that your friends are doing and what they find cool. And you're following that because that's kind of like the guideline that's been given to you. You've been given no direction. No one's told you you need to like spend time pursuing these things that you're interested in and why that's important. So you get distracted. You start hanging out with your friends a lot. You start neglecting the things that you're deeply interested in, and you become disconnected. And then add on top of that, the emotional trauma, little t trauma of like not feeling seen or recognized by your parents, or like your parents introducing some emotional trauma. And then you get blocked from that semi-permanently. Like you get blocked from your intuition and like your seat of emotion deeply because of all of these things happening to you. And then you turn 18 or 19 and you're forced into the world. You're forced to go to college. You're forced to choose what it is that you want to do, but you haven't known what you want to do since you were like 6 years old. So you go ahead and choose a career path that maybe isn't really aligned with what you want to do, but like your parents are telling you that that'll help you make money and you'll be successful if you follow that career path. And that's a really valuable major. It makes sense. And all these things happen to you. And so you go to college and then you're bombarded by a multitude of distractions, right? Like partying, drinking for the first time, relationships, crushes, all these things that are like overwhelming in college, and like your first taste of independence. And so of course the last thing on your mind is like, okay, what am I genuinely interested in? How can I get back to my intuition? Like you have so many things to do. Like you have homework, you have essays, you have projects, you have classes to go to, you have recreational activities. It's the last thing on your mind. And then if you followed that major that like you were told would make you successful, and then you enter the workforce in your early 20s, the distractions keep coming at you, right? Like it's exhilarating to start earning money for the first time. It's exhilarating to have the prospect of like, oh, if I can get like a 10% salary raise, that'll translate to like $200 more a week in my paycheck, and I'll be able to go out more and I'll be able to go on those trips that I want to go on, and it's going to be so amazing. And that motivates you. Like that deeply excites you because you can chase that distraction of like wanting to have more money, and all of your like new friends that you're making live in the city too, and they all have jobs. And so you can like go to happy hour, commiserate about how bad your jobs are, but like still laugh about it because at the end of the day, like you have each other, and you can still plan to go out every Friday and Saturday, and you can still go out on Tuesday and Thursday and Wednesday and like all these things. And there's so many distractions because you're just newly an adult. And so you're able to be driven by this, right? Like this is a source of energy for you because you're able to kind of extract meaning from finding a source of income. And you don't really need to think about this question of like purpose and what's the bigger picture of why I'm here. But then you get to your late 20s and like 27, 28 comes around and you start to lose steam. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this at this point. Like you're still doing your corporate job, you're still logging on every morning, you're still doing your little Zoom meetings, like you're still giving deliverables to your boss, you're having one-on-ones, and it starts to feel less good. It starts to feel like, okay, I've gotten a few raises, I've gotten a couple promotions, maybe I have like someone that I'm managing for the first time. And for some reason, it just starts to feel a little less exciting, a little less glamorous. It starts to feel draining, or it starts to feel like a bit tiring, and you start to feel this heaviness. That's the first sign that, you aren't doing something that's in alignment with your purpose and what you should be doing with your life. You're not deeply connected to your work. That's the main issue, right? Whatever you're doing every day when you wake up from 9 to 5, it isn't aligned with what it is that you actually want to be doing in your deepest interests. And so then if you keep ignoring that sensation and you like keep finding ways to distract it, like maybe you go on some trips, maybe you plan a couple, maybe you join some like recreational leagues, maybe you start playing pickleball, maybe you plan some trips to like the Bahamas or Miami or whatever with your friends and your friend group. But then you turn 30 and you get to your early 30s and it starts getting a bit painful. Like the fact that you haven't done the work to pursue what it is that you are interested in, want to be doing, it starts to become a little painful. Like this heaviness that you're carrying by not doing that and just pursuing this like preconceived idea of success that you absorbed when you were like a teenager or even a preteen, that heaviness starts to weigh on your heart. It starts to become a weight that's dragging you, and it becomes harder to wake up every day. It becomes a drag to go to work. You literally cannot stand the thought of going to work for one more day. And that's where I found myself. So take it from me. Like if you have ever felt this way at any point in the journey I just described, like just know that there is a way out, and I'll tell you how to do that after this. But I want to like continue painting the picture of the importance of what happens if you continue to ignore this call. So say that you're like in your 30s, right? Your early 30s, and you start to feel like this pain of having to go to work at a job that you really don't care about, where you're not motivated. And then you also start to see other people that are younger than you, say like in their early 20s, their mid 20s coming up, and they're more successful than you already. They're younger than you, like they have an edge to them because they've started pursuing things that they're interested in. Like maybe you're seeing someone who's like 23, you started a YouTube channel when they were 21 talking about something they were interested in, and now they have 1 million subscribers and they just bought a house in Los Angeles, and you're still sitting here in an apartment working your 9 to 5 job every day, logging onto Zoom for your remote job, making like 170K a year, still not able to buy a house, still not able to like buy those things that you want, still not able to live the life that you want because you never did the work to like pursue things that you were interested in. So then it starts becoming extra painful because you see others doing what it is that you at your core want the most, which is to just live a life where you can do what you want, do what you're interested in. And so the next part of this journey is if you still don't answer the call to find what you're interested in, like 35 is coming for you and it doesn't look pretty, right? The pain that you're experiencing in your early 30s, it gets 10 times worse by the time you're 35 if you still don't do this work. If you still pursue the distractions and you still turn to the trips, the birthday parties, the dinners, and you never really take the time to fix your day and like the majority of your life, fix your day and like your work day, because that is the majority of your life and your waking hours. If you never take the time to fix that, 35 is coming for you and it looks terrifying because you're now pushing 40 and in 10 years that'll be 50 and you still haven't figured out what it is that like you're good at, where your talents lie and what you should be doing, and the future looks really bleak. You have probably 20, 30 more years of the work you've just done for the past 12 years. Do you really want to be doing that? Can you imagine yourself at 35 with 20 years ahead of you of logging on to your corporate job, 9 to 5, Zoom meetings, the work that you're doing right now? Ask yourself this question. I want you to literally stop and ask yourself, can I see myself in 15 to 20 years doing what I'm doing right now on a daily basis? And if that question made your heart hurt, if you felt heavy, if you like had a panic attack when you heard that question, that's like the biggest sign that you probably aren't doing the things that you need to be doing. But it's okay if this is your experience. And I'll tell you step by step how to change this and how to make this pivot, how to make this adjustment so that what it is you want in life and your deepest interests and how you're spending your time can actually be aligned. And I'll tell you how you can actually make a career out of that. If you're only following what other people are doing and you're only looking to others to see what they're doing and like following that, and you're up like looking to your friend who's also working a corporate job and maybe they're making like 50K more than you, and you're looking at them and you're just copying what they're doing, like you're in trouble. Because I'll tell you this, the one thing that you should be doing is figuring out how you are unique and pursuing that. You can't find that by looking at other people and figuring out like what they're doing to be successful and copying that. That doesn't work. It can only come from you. So I want to talk about how to do the work. Like, say that you just heard me talk about that entire journey from your 20s to your 30s. And if at any point in your 20s or 30s or wherever you are in that journey, you have felt the thing that I just described, this is your sign to stop what you're doing and do the work, carve out a few months of your life and just start doing the work, because there is no better time than today. So to do the work, you have to be okay with the process of pursuing your interests. You have to be open to exploring and trying new things and pulling out the thread of what it is you might be interested in, what it is you might be fascinated by. If you think back to your childhood and you think about like some things that really sparked your interest, those things came like rapid fire, right? Like every day you were interested in a million things. You're probably asking your parents, why, like a million times, because you were actually deeply interested in the world and deeply interested in the things around you. So if you already know what it is that might spark your interest or might intrigue you, that's the starting point. Start pulling on that thread. Start asking yourself like, okay, why am I interested in that? What questions can I ask about that? How can I research that? Can I spend some time doing that? Can I actually maybe go down the route of exploring and learning and researching on that thing? And if the answer is yes, like great, you've already found the first step. You've done the first step to finding out what it is you should be doing in life. And I encourage you to follow that, because you are destined to do more. Like you're destined to do something that you're deeply connected to. And the first thing that I'd recommend, if you don't immediately know the answer to that question, is to just follow your natural inclinations. Follow the things that you're naturally intelligent at. So when you were younger, writing came really easily to you. Like reading and writing came very easily to you. And you always scored super highly on your essays and your writing homework, and you were always fascinated by novels and reading. Like, that's one form of intelligence, right? You're naturally inclined to do those things. So just start asking yourself, like, okay, what if I were to try writing a poem? What if I tried writing an essay right now? What if I tried writing a book? What would happen? How would that look like? Like, what would I write about? What has been the most interesting type of book for me in the past? Like, how have I really embodied this fascination of narrative? And it could also be like mathematics or logical thinking or critical thinking, right? Like, if you've always had a natural inclination to do that, start asking yourself, like, okay, you can even Google it, right? Like, if I'm naturally good at math, what are some hobbies that I can pursue? What are some things that I can actually do with my free time? And the key to this, at the root of it, is to follow the interests that are under that umbrella. Like, follow and explore hobbies and be willing to be open to trying new things. Like, truly, that's where the answer lies, is being okay trying new things. And at the beginning, you will be bad at it. Like, you will not be good at it, and you have to be okay with that, not seeing immediate success in that hobby. But if you're interested in it, that's the key, because whenever you follow that, it gives you the fuel. It gives you the fuel to become good at something. Do you think that anybody who ever was successful in life tried whatever they're good at for the first time and were good at it? Maybe, probably like 1% of people do that. But no, on the whole, people who are successful, 99% of them probably sucked the first time they tried something. I would also say, if you don't know what your natural inclinations are and you feel so deeply disconnected from yourself that you find yourself saying, I don't know what I'm good at. I just have no idea what I'm good at. I don't think I'm good at anything. I don't think I'm good enough at literally anything that I could do as a career or like as a pursuit in life. Then that is a sign that it's clear as day that you are disconnected from your emotional center. You probably had a blockage introduced to you at a young age, and this version of you that's walking around in present day as an adult is probably externally very polished. Like, you probably have your shit together. You probably have a lot of friends. You probably have a successful career, but your emotions and like your deepest intuition and your inner child are still left behind at that age where the blockage was introduced, probably around like 10, 11, 12. And the key to finding out what it is that you're interested in and what you're naturally good at is that little version of yourself. You have to reconnect with that version of yourself before you do any of this work. So if you find yourself asking, like, okay, what could I possibly be good at? Or what am I even talented at? Or you just have no idea or like sense of self, but you're still like operating at a high level, it's because you're blocked emotionally. So I think the fastest way to address this blockage is obviously therapy, but I think for a lot of people that's not affordable, and it seems like a rigorous process, and that's okay. Like, I get that. That was how it was for me in my early 20s as well. It just seemed like untenable to do therapy. So in lieu of therapy, what I recommend doing is, if you can't afford it for whatever reason, it's not accessible to you, I think what you have to do is take out a piece of paper and write a letter to your parents. Say, literally start, Dear Mom and Dad, and you're going to answer 2 questions. What do you wish could have been different in your childhood? And really sit back and think about this. Like, go through the memories, like tap into your younger self, like start answering the question, like, what do you wish could have been different? And I like to do this by, like, before even answering that question, start writing out, like, Dear Mom and Dad, I remember when I was younger, I used to be like blah, blah, blah. And start just like typing out what you thought you were like as a kid. And that helps you start reconnecting with that version of yourself. And then the emotions, I promise you, will start flowing out of you. Just start saying, like, Dear Mom and Dad, I wish that, Dad, you wouldn't have yelled so much. Mom, I wish that you didn't have to go to work every day or every evening, Monday through Wednesday. I wish that this could have been different. I wish that could have been different. And just start listing it all out and see what comes out of you. And then you're going to answer the second question, which is, what did I need? Or what did that version of myself, what did that little kid need instead of what they got? And be like so candid here and be super specific. Don't feel ashamed about what you needed. Like, if you literally just wanted to say, like, I needed you to be around. I needed you to like hug me more in the day. I needed you to sit down with me. I needed to be able to spend time with you. I wanted to watch TV with you. I just wanted to, connect with you. I wanted to spend time with you. Just write it down. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't judge it. Just write it all down. Get it all out on paper. And writing this actually isn't the hard part. Writing this letter to your parents is actually the easy part of this process, which is tough to hear. But the next thing that you have to do to process these emotions and align with that younger version of yourself, and this is so scary. And to be honest, this took me like 3 tries to do with my therapist. And when I started doing this, I like got choked up because writing the letter for me was really easy. But what you have to do is read the letter, not to your parents, but to a trusted source, whether that's your therapist, whether that's your best friend in life, maybe it's your partner. You have to sit down and read that letter and go through it. And it's the hardest thing you will do as an adult. And I'm not even kidding when I say that. It is so challenging because the minute you start talking, what you've done is you've kind of opened the door into the 12-year-old version of yourself's bedroom, and you walked in and you immediately reconnected with them, and you're sitting in your room and you are that version of yourself. And that version of yourself is scared. They've been lonely for 20 years. They've been lonely for like 15 to 20 years. They haven't had anybody to help them out or help them get out of that room. They're still stuck in there. You've been operating as an adult and you've left them behind. Think about how lonely and scary that is for that version of yourself. It's terrifying to be a little kid and not know like when the next time an adult's gonna come and say hi to you, or like being left behind or being left alone. That's the scariest thing that can happen to you as a kid. And that's unfortunately what the adult version of you has done to that little kid. So they're deeply sensitive. Like they're so tender, like they're so fragile. So what happens when you start reading this letter is you immediately step into their shoes. And I couldn't even get past the first sentence of my letter without crying and like getting choked up because I just felt so sad for this version of myself that I left behind. And once you get through that letter and you read it out loud, and this could take hours because you have to stop and take breaks, it could take weeks to get through it, but you have to get through it reading it to somebody else who can hold you emotionally, someone that's a safe space. And I would argue like you need to find somebody that holds you at the highest level of safe. So like whether that's your partner, whether that's like a sibling, whether that's your closest friend in life, whether that's your therapist, just do that and get it out and talk through the letter. Literally read it to them. And if you want to stop and cry and sob, do it and have them hold you and hug you and give yourself what you needed when you were 12 years old. And what you do whenever you get through the letter is that you unlock this well of emotion that you've been hiding. Like all the tension in your body that you've been holding, it gets released. Like it's the most beautiful thing. And it's truly like one of the most important moments you'll have in your adult life. And once you get through it, you're able to bring that version of you, that 12-year-old version of you, to the present day. And that's whenever you can start doing the work and asking them like, hey bud, what are you interested in? Like, hey pal, what is it that you want to do today? What do you like doing? Like, what are your talents? What are you naturally good at? What do you like to explore? They have the answer to those questions. The adult version of you walking around, going to your corporate job, having 10 cups of coffee a day, they don't know that. It literally lives in that 12-year-old version of yourself. So connect to that and you'll unlock the answers to what am I naturally good at? What am I naturally inclined at? And it's the most beautiful thing you can do. But even if you do have some inkling of the answer, like what am I good at? I'd still recommend doing that because honestly, everybody can benefit from that exercise. And so whenever you are able to then answer that question of what am I good at? What am I naturally inclined? What is my natural inclination? What are my natural talents? You can then start pivoting your life to align with those things. And that can be as simple as, say that 12-year-old version of yourself absolutely loved making like arts and crafts. They loved painting. They were like deeply creative. They loved expressing themselves through art. Like you can spend more time in your day and as an adult doing those things. And it's not that you can start a career tomorrow by making art and like doing crafts, but it's that you start trusting yourself enough to follow the threads of your interests. And that's the key. It's not that you literally want to do art and make a career out of it. It's that you start trusting yourself to keep exploring what you're interested in and keep following them, pulling out that thread in a manner that allows you to then create a career or a life doing things that you're interested in. And everything else falls into place whenever you do that. And I want to close out by saying that everyone that's successful in life and anyone who goes so far in life and is just a master of their craft, they are people who genuinely enjoy the process of their work. They didn't start out doing what they wanted to do because they wanted recognition, fame, success. They didn't want all of those things, but those things eventually came to them because they followed their inclinations and their talents, and they were deeply motivated to enjoy the process of their work. And the success and the fame and the notoriety came later because whatever they produced as a result of being deeply interested in what they were doing was noteworthy because they put their soul into it, because they're connected to themselves at their core. Whenever you're able to express that, that's whenever you start getting the fame, the success, the money, the notoriety. That's whenever you start to be successful in the ways that it matters, because they let their natural inclinations guide them. They let their natural talents and what they were interested in take them to the next level. They let them truly steer the ship of their consciousness and what it is that they were doing with their time from 9 to 5 every day. And that's the most beautiful thing you can do, is releasing enough that you can tell that 12-year-old version of yourself, like, hey, I trust you enough to take us down this path. And whenever you do that, that's whenever your life starts to change. So I hope this was helpful. And I just want to remind you that this work of finding your purpose is not easy, but it's doable. And I promise what's waiting for you on the other side is a life that you're proud of, that you care about, and that you deeply love. And those are the things that matter in life. And I truly believe this is the most important thing that you can do for yourself. And that's why I think that finding your purpose is important. And that's why I've dedicated my whole podcast to this concept. And if there's anything I can do to help you individually, please don't hesitate to reach out, because I think I've found my purpose in helping other people find their purpose. And that is what truly energizes me every day to keep making this content. So thank you so much for making it to the end of the episode. And I hope you tune in next week.